Hey everyone, I have Matt here from Basejump. I'm super excited to have him on as our featured founder. Matt, pleasure to have you. Please
Thanks for
introduce
having me.
yourself. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Hey Tony, yeah, Matt Mason, CEO, co-founder of Basejump. Super excited to chat.
Great, man. And when I first met you, what I was most impressed with is your background. I always love seeing people when they come to Web3 that are from more traditional industries and they come in, they take their experience and what they've learned, and they build something that is exciting, and they use all that history that they've built up across all those years. And in your case, it's gaming in base, but I'd love to hear more about your background, if you wouldn't mind, explaining for the audience here.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, look, I started in kind of the music industry. Grew up playing on pirate radio stations in London. Was one of the founding members of a music magazine called Rewind, a big consumer platform in the UK. It became one of the largest music platforms in the UK. After we sold that, I wrote a book called The Pirate's Dilemma about it was like decentralized culture and like how do you think about this as a business strategy? That led me to eventually joining BitTorrent as the head of marketing and chief content officer there. Grew BitTorrent to 175 million monthly users. Was really trying to think about it as a place for people to consume and distribute content legally in a decentralized way. Ran a game studio for Sony Pictures in LA after that for 4 years. Was the first CMO at Kraken, the crypto exchange. Just stayed with decentralization as much as I did with gaming and sort of culture platforms. While I was at Kraken, I met the team building the ERC 721 that would become, kind of NFTs. And I really felt like this was the unit of culture I'd been waiting for. And I've done a bunch of stuff in that space ever since. I was part of a company called Palm NFT Studio that built DC Comics NFT platform, did Damien Hirst currency project back in the kind of NFT bull run in 2021. And then started Basejump kind of in the downturn, really looking to head to sort of like, how do you combine all these things we've got? We've got, all these amazing new pieces of technology in gaming. We've got this incredible stack with blockchain and of course this, explosion of AI tools. So we built a platform called Basejump, which lets people play, create and monetize games in one platform that then can be distributed to places like Discord, browsers, and eventually mobile, Telegram, other platforms as well.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And what I really picked up on when I was first talking to you is almost like that old school hacker type culture of what you were doing, and how that kind of formed the basis. In this space kind of feels very similar in these respects in how it's building out. And the other thing is, I believe Web3 gaming, like what I typically see too, is a lot of people who are building games don't actually have background in building things like this out, and it ends up being a little off in some respects. Or when you look at their background historically, and maybe it's in a more traditional business, and now, like I had one guy that was a software developer, now he's building a game. Well, that's a whole different animal to build, right? And needs a whole different team. So, if you
Yeah.
wouldn't mind, maybe just give us a really brief demo of Basejump, and we can check that out. And then you can just explain to the audience some of the Web3 components and everything else involved with that too. And one thing I'll say
Yeah.
too, as a gamer, one piece I like about gaming is how you can actually own your own assets. Like I had Tony was my World of Warcraft character's name back in the original Malago server in like 2005 or something, I think it was. Like
Yeah.
that's how. Like I still remember Tony, and I gave him to a friend. And I still want Tony. So as I think about like our
That's it.
assets, that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, I mean that's it. Just ownable assets is such a big piece of the puzzle, but there's so much more too. So this is the Basejump platform. If you go to basejump.xyz, you can play this right now. Um, just real quick, it talks about what we do. We're building a platform. Our first game is Broadside Battle Mode. We're going to launch this create mode, so you'll be able to just make games right here as well. It's all running on a substrate called Action, which is a completely decentralized protocol we built on top of AO and Arweave. So that's really how we use blockchain. We use it for AI compute. So when you publish a game on Basejump, that game is a block. Like if you think about block sizes on Ethereum or Bitcoin or most blockchains, blocks are kind of the size as like, a calculator. They can store one really long number, a hash, and that's kind of it. That's all they need to do. On Action, which Basejump runs on, which is the chain that we're building, you could store an avatar, an AI agent, an entire AAA game the size of GTA 6 as a single block. So when you think about ownable assets, You could have ownable, unique games. You know, you could do GTA with 1 million unique maps if you wanted to. And we think this is the sort of future that is really exciting. Real quick, last thing I'll say before we get in is underneath the game, we're connecting every game built and every asset paid for on Basejump to an acre of real world rainforest in partnership with the Rainforest Foundation. This was a really important thing for us. Like we wanted to link land and games built out there in the world to real world areas that gamers could protect. And this is just something we kind of felt like was fun to do. Like let's try and turn saving the world into the world's greatest game. We think there's a lot of value for gamers here. There's a lot of value for us in terms of people becoming more invested in the assets they build. Like you were talking about Tony. Imagine if Tony that you'd built in 2005 had been protecting 100 acres of rainforest that entire time. We're going to try and protect 4 million acres with the launch of Broadside Battle Mode. So it's really easy. You just jump in. You can log in with Discord. I've been in blockchain long enough to know that you can't ask users to jump through hoops. We don't think you should have to connect a wallet if you don't have one. We wanted to build a game where you can play this even if you don't know how to spell NFT. So here's your character. Your character's got a bunch of assets. All of these things are running on chain. Like if I open up these nunchucks, you can see their traits. You can see all of their attack points, their defense points. All of these things are different assets. You can combine them with your character. You can have a bunch of characters in your account. You can connect third-party wallets out here, like Wonder Wallet on AO, or a third-party wallet on another chain like MetaMask, or the Immutable Wallet, for example. And it's really easy to use different assets. Doesn't matter what chain they're on or if they're on chain at all. So we can go in here, we can give our character some different armor or some different weapons or whatever. And once he's ready to play, you can go find someone to battle with. You can battle against NPCs. We've got 24 of them here. Or you can go to VS mode and battle against friends. I'm going to pick someone randomly. Let's battle Vex here. She looks pretty scary. I've turned all the sound's all pretty loud. I've turned it off for just the purposes of this demo. Otherwise, it was going to be like booming out. But it's got a really good soundtrack. And then you get in. It's kind of like
Taki was beat me up. That's so I can.
Okay, you got it. Okay, so as you can see, it's like Smash Brothers, but with different weapons and stuff that you can load out with.
Oh, that's cool. And this game that's being built, right? This is unique to this individual game, and so this character might not be in the other game you might build on the same platform. That would have a whole different aesthetic, whole different characters, whole different assets, everything with it, right?
That's right. Yeah, you can bring in different stuff from different games, and this is what the sort of interoperability app is all about, really. Sorry, it's super loud here. I'm gonna try and beat Vex because I'm almost there.
I was gonna laugh if you lose at your own game while we're recording.
Yeah, that's the problem. I just play it all day, you know.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Got it with the nunchucks. I'm gonna quit the game here, but you can play the whole thing if you go to basejump.xyz or if you jump in Discord. It's all right there.
You know, one thing I found really cool when you were mentioning this is when we think about tokenization, you're able to tokenize an actual game, right? Because you're out of that block size limit, you know, which I found is pretty cool. Like that to me is also what's actually very difficult about putting things on chain is all the data, all the storage, all that. You know, it's very expensive depending on the chain. Yeah. Like I wouldn't even imagine how much it would cost on Ethereum. You can't even do it, but even if you could, it would be ridiculous.
Yeah, it's expensive, and the other thing is, it's most things that are on chain aren't actually stored on chain, or they're just sort of pinned on chain, but they're somewhere else. The amazing thing about the AO and RB stack is things can run on AO as a process, and then you can store them on RB for 200 years plus. That's the kind of minimum it will be there, which is enough time for most people. And yeah, Sam Williams, the inventor of AO and RB, is just like this brilliant mind, and that ecosystem was really once we saw that ecosystem and how things were working there, we knew we wanted to be multi-chain. We need to be bringing assets from every other chain too. But once we saw how AO worked for what we were trying to do, everything else just kind of felt like legacy tech.
Mm-hmm. Question for you: Do you see? And this is just I'm not sure of the answer to this. Do you see a world where other game assets can be brought into this world? Because that's the one thing I was excited about as a gamer is. I've got my Kroll blade, I'm old school World of Warcraft, that huge blade. I love it. It's old classic epic weapon. but that weapon might have slayed all kinds of cool monsters and been in all kinds of battles and PvP. And how does that weapon now carry its story over into something else? And that was also what I've thought about a lot in how you get new players interested, or even, hey, if you have this specific sword, only you can join this. Or if you've got a World of Warcraft account, as my example, from 2005, you must be a pretty hardcore MMO gamer. We want you to test our game, right? We'll incentivize you to join our game. There's all different ways you can use that. How do you see that world kind of working as we wrap up a little bit here?
Yeah, we've already started experimenting. I mean, that's something we're super passionate about, making things interoperable between different games, chains, platforms. We worked with our friends at a company called Chorus, which is founded by Deadmau5, Richie Horton, and an amazing CEO called Inda Full. They have this amazing AI music platform called Chorus. Before we launched Broadside, you could go and play with a Broadside character in Chorus that would make Broadside music. The Broadside started as an NFT project. There's all this music, there's all this story, there's all this stuff. There's this amazing community there. You could go and make Broadside music. You do all this stuff. You could earn different objects on the Chorus platform. Those objects and those avatars all work in Broadside battle mode. You can wear them as armor, and they were just there. They were just already on chain. So there's it's so great because like you could just take something that was already there like years ago and just give it new utility somewhere else. And I think the way we call these items hyper objects, because we think the avatars and the items that you can take between an internet built on game engines and all the games running on game engines, these objects are going to be the connective tissue between these worlds, the way that hypertext is the connective tissue between the internet we use today. So we're super passionate about connecting hyper objects, giving things new value. Doesn't matter what chain they're on or if they're on chain at all. Bring them to Basejump, we'll make things work.
Yeah, I think that to me is the future. Like if you bought a shirt and then it comes with a digital asset you claim, you get into a game. Like there's all these different ways you can leverage that in marketing and in the cross-pollination and partnerships and collaborations, even brand, could be insane. And then a lot of times, like if I'm not sure, old school RuneScape, I think maybe we were talking about this, like the hats and stuff, you might be able to get.
Yeah.
The hats were a very popular thing, and at the time they were garbage that people just threw away. But because everyone got rid of them and only a certain amount remained, the hats became a really cool thing that you'd walk around this cool hat, people would notice you because everyone got rid of them. Like you mentioned, they forgot about it almost. It's dust.
If I can give you a digital 3D asset that works in the social network that you're usually on in a way that you care about, or works in the game that you play the most in a way that's new and novel to you, like this is the most powerful form of direct marketing we've ever had. And we think consumers are actually going to like it. Like nobody's seen anything like this. This is not annoying. This is stuff that you care about, that a brand can give you, that does something you want to do, that does something they want you to do. I'm really excited for how I still don't think we've really found the native ad unit of gaming. Like gaming is, more money, more consumer spending goes into gaming than music and movies combined. And all of the like 5% of the ad revenue goes to gaming right now. And I think this is how we get the 95% or more of it into gaming, through things like hyper objects.
Absolutely. And then the object, I've never heard that term before, hyper object. That's pretty unique. And what I think about that is almost if you go somewhere, can you claim something, use it in the game? Yeah. I mean, there's all these hooks. But the other thing is, as people add all this stuff up in their wallet, like if you were to look at my Steam library, but it was actually like a view in my wallet, you'd be like, all right, I see how this guy likes to play. I see what he likes. Like Elder Scrolls is there. Grand Theft Auto's there, of course. Why not, right? There's all these games that are there. But you could almost look at that as a history of what that person likes. And so now you're incentivizing them to join the thing that they will probably like, Yeah. Or what I also think about is current state, if you want to integrate, let's say, a sword from another game into your game, you have to ask for permission, all this. When you look at blockchain, you can simply accept the contract address in there and the IDs, and you bring all that in. You don't even need a permission. You might need it in your marketing. So, obviously that if you're going to say it's a partnership or whatever. But my whole point is that alone enables the freedom to literally say any digital asset, you could bring it here, you can use it here, and that can hook in those exact avatars that buy and use that digital asset. And this is a whole nother way of marketing that I think is going to be absolutely insane. Because now we think we know what people like, Meta, all these trackers, all these things, but we're not actually looking at their actual wallet data. What are they actually? You don't see all that, like their credit card statement. That shows what they buy.
Well, because we're running on AO, because you can put so much more in a block, we can put like hidden VFX, sound effects, game mechanics into an item that you might not know is there, and then one day you happen to take it somewhere you've never been before, and it starts doing something that it's never done anywhere else. So we have this item. It's a rocket launcher. If you take it into a game like Nifty Island, who we've been partnering with to do interoperable assets, where our items work in their game, it fires rockets in Nifty Island because that's what you do there. You're playing capture the flag. If you take it into this rave warehouse we built inside the Broadside game on Basejump, it fires glow sticks because it knows it's in a rave warehouse. So if you start building in these like network aware, context aware, intelligence inside game assets where avatars do different things depending on where you take them, you could constantly surprise people, and you can get them to do. Hey, if you take this over there, something cool's going to happen. But only if 50,000 people of you go. You also know how many people might be there and what time. And yeah, there's so much cool stuff you can do with these things.
Yeah, that example. Just as we wrap up, like that to me, where you mentioned like it's almost like an element of surprise, but it's like I have this thing I've been using for a while. Like the GoldenEye N64 rocket launcher. We all know what that thing is going to look like when you shoot it off, right? But it's still, now, it's in this new game, now it shoots, a flying pig or something comes out of it because now it's in a goofier, funnier game, but you don't expect it, maybe. When you bring that in, you fire it, now you find out for the first time, wow, that's cool. I was so used to seeing this other thing. It actually makes it more valuable because the thing can do more things, basically, right?
I love that you used that example. The co-founder of Basejump, Lex Johnson, built the rocket launchers for GoldenEye. Like that was one of the games he worked on. So this is the team here. This is what we're doing now.
Oh, that's insane. Yeah, I'm 43, but that was my jam, like all day long. A GoldenEye N64 with my friends. Yep.
Yeah, man.
Well,
awesome.
man, it's been great talking to you. And
likewise.
One thing I want to lead off with is right now, what do we want people to do? Play the game, right? We want them to go to basejump.xyz and to play the game. Be able to get activity there, join the Discord, participate, say hi to Matt while you're there. Awesome builder. It's been a pleasure having you on here. I think people are going to love the conversation, especially those who are gamers, of which a huge quantity or percent of the population are.
Tony, thanks so much. This was awesome. Really appreciate it.
You got it, man. All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.